What did you go to prison for?
Marijuana trafficking, 100 kilograms or more. My ultimate goal in life is to open a cannabis-based opiate rehab and help people get off of other drugs using cannabis.
It's Kyle from Federal Prison Tips. We are back in the studio with our brand new mic flags at the 10 Toes podcast. We're 10 Toes in, standing on business. I'm here with Jeremy. Jeremy, what's your last name?
Grove.
Jeremy, and you're a Fed too, aren't you?
Fed. Yep, I'm a Fed baby.
And what did you go to prison for?
Marijuana trafficking, 100 kilograms or more.
Wow. So you went to federal prison for pot.
For marijuana. Yep.
I wonder if you'd go to prison for that right now. Probably not. But so tell me a little bit about your crime.
So in the end of 2013, I had a friend move out west, and it was basically like, you think you could get rid of a pound? Sent me a pound, I got rid of it. That, kind of turned into more and more, and we ended up getting up to 40 pounds in mattresses. So I was actually a guy that I used to live with knew a guy who owned a foam factory here in Miami.
Okay.
And he would custom make the mattresses and ship them to California. Then I would fly out to California, buy 40 pounds, package it up, put it in the mattress, and then ship it back across the country on freight. And then when it got back, there was a guy who was giving me the money to buy the weed. And when it made it back, he'd give me $200 a pound on top. So I was making like $8,000 per mattress, and I'd do that like every 2 weeks. So
wow,
it like money wise, like now that I own a moving company and everything, and I look at percentages, it's like I was making 10%. Like that's really nothing. But
you need to go back in and go back to whoever you're working with and tell me you want more of the money.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I tell people all the time is like, for the amount of risk and the work behind it, it's just not. It wasn't really worth it. Like I make more money moving furniture owning a moving company now than I did selling weed, to be honest with you.
So we do things a little bit different here.
Okay.
Nobody cares about kindergarten. Yeah. I promise you that. Let's go back to starting to put weed into the mattresses.
Yes.
What made you do this? Like what made you say, hey, maybe this is the path Jeremy should be taking?
Okay, well, so I was bartending downtown. So I knew a lot of people.
Like here in Miami?
No, this was in Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
So I was in Greenville, South Carolina, bartending. I was, just kind of knew everyone downtown. It was the most popular sushi bar in Greenville that I was bartending at. So
don't take this the wrong way. Like, you don't look like a junkie. You know what I mean? You just look like a normal dude.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people can relate to like the bartender who sells weed
right
on the side.
On the side, yeah.
Like that's what I was. And then there was actually a guy who came into the bar all the time, and he was like the guy who sold everything. And that's where I kind of made the connection of like he would give me the money to get all the weed for the mattress, and then give me the money when the mattress got back. And then but the funny thing about the mattress was actually because, like I said, it was an old roommate of mine. He came over to smoke a blunt, buy some weed from me. I had just bought a new king size bed mattress, right? And I was like, yo, check out my mattress or whatever. And we're all high, and I was like, imagine how much weed you could put in a mattress this size. And he's like, well, the funny thing is I actually know of my college roommate.
I know a guy who puts weed in mattresses.
He owns a foam factory, but he would definitely be down. And so he called him, and he was like, you think you could make mattresses like that would be able to ship weed in? And the guy was like, hell yeah. And so that just became like, well, let's try it. It was really just like a high idea that just kind of turned into.
So
what
you
I
were
did.
literally Jeremy the Mattress King.
That's what I was. That's what I was. I was getting weed in mattresses, and it's funny when you start doing that kind of thing because you're kind of winging it. It's not like you have a book or anybody telling you how to do it.
No, and that's
right?
what people don't understand.
Yeah.
I wasn't from the drug game. I was on the on the scamming side and the money. And when you're rolling in it, you don't think about that. You're just rolling with it. You're just doing it.
Yeah. And the like for instance, so you get when it would ship it would have to go into a storage unit. So you get there, the mattress is there. You're like, hell yeah, it arrived. But then it's like, what are you gonna do with all the leftover? Because when you rip it all apart, the
You got all
foam's
this
everywhere.
foam.
Yeah,
Now you got to
everywhere.
repackage it into real mattresses or something.
Yeah.
So what
it's-
did you do with the foam?
I mean, we just have to take it to the dump, like, because when you put it all in, then you glued the sides and everything shut. So to get it apart, you really had to kind of just basically like rip the foam apart, like just pieces of it everywhere to get.
So
the
you're
weed
putting
out.
40 pounds of weed in every mattress?
Yeah. So like basically, the way it worked out, there would be 5 pounds per bag. And then you could get 8 bags down the 11-inch vacuum seal bags,
Right.
which that's another thing. When you go to California, it's funny. If you try to buy 11-inch vacuum seal bags in California, they're out everywhere. like I'd drive anywhere within an hour and a half of where I was. Walgreens, Target, Walmart, like all of that, trying to find enough 11, because one box only covered like 1 5-pound stretch,
Right.
because we triple seal it. So it and it's tall. It's as tall as a queen size mattress is
Right.
width wise. So you need 8 of those. So you need 8 boxes of 11-inch vacuum seal bags, and you could never find more than 3 anywhere. And most of the time they were out. So I started. People are always like, "Why didn't you just Amazon it?" I don't know. We should have Amazon. What's funny is what we were doing. It was so ridiculous, but we thought that ordering 11-inch vacuum seal bags would put heat on us.
I can see that though.
And I've always wondered too if the makers of vacuum seal bags
Know what
do
they're doing.
they know
Of course
why
they do.
their 11-inch vacuum seal bags
course
are
they do.
selling so good in
I'll
California?
bet you somebody were at Amazon headquarters was like, they're buying the 11-inch vacuum seal bags. Let me call the DEA real quick.
Yeah.
We got a guy buying the 11-inch vacuum seal bags.
In
Go pick him
bulk.
up.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a single steak in the freezer. Like,
No.
So that was but it was crazy because it was interesting to come up with like a whole system. Like, I'd fly out there, I would the first thing I'd take cash and go buy like a smartphone, like
like a
the
burner.
ones we use in prison,
Yeah.
like those kind of smartphones.
Like a Samsung A7.
Yeah. And then I'd make a whole email address, and I always something I always thought was funny that I did is I used to always do it in someone I went to church with growing up's name.
Their name, yep.
So it was like old Bob Merson, the old deacon at our church, was shipping 40 pounds of match
All the
across
time. He's a major drug dealer.
Yeah.
So how long were you how long were you in the mattress business?
That it probably lasted about like 6 or 8 months that was happening until a mattress went missing. And that was it. So a mattress went missing. Then they took 40 grand at the airport on my way out from North Carolina. And that's when the investigation really started, was when they took the money, because the guy that was giving me the money, he got the money back. Like, he came up with like a story of like why he had the money and all that, and they gave him the money back, but they never believed the story. So they gave him the money back, but and I told him that I told him that when we did it, I was like, bro, I think we should just let him have that money, because
Oh yeah.
like if they
It's
start
going.
really looking into this, he's like nah, they're gonna give it back, it'll be fine. And that's not that's why the feds like picked up a weed case, I think, was because we went and got the money back. And it was kind of like a fuck you to us of you're not gonna get the money back. And then
So you're doing this for about 6 to 8 months.
the mattresses, the selling weed, like 2 years, because I was, first it was just the mail, like normal. Normal.
Right. Like the normal weed dude.
Shocking news, everyone. People send drugs across the country in the mail. Yep. FedEx, UPS, but USPS is, I don't even know if it's true, but everyone always says that like FedEx and UPS can check any package. The USPS needs a warrant, but I don't know that that's actually true. Sure. But that's what that's what word on the street always was. So we used USPS, and then sometimes
just go ahead and give it to the federal government.
Yeah, right. And then packages go missing, but you never know because post office workers figure out what's going on too. So right. they steal packages.
They're not turning it over to the feds. They're just selling it on the side.
Exactly, because they know if they know that it's drugs in there, they know you're never going to call about the package going missing. So that happens too. But it was quite a ride for about 2 years. And then they raided my house, but I only got caught with 7 pounds. And the state had raided my house, and I'm like, okay, it's less than 10, which in South Carolina is possession with intent to distribute, not trafficking.
Right.
So I was looking at, 6 months, maybe a year, like probably probation kind of situation.
And then the feds picked it up.
And then when I bailed out, the first lawyer I called's like, well, I can give you a price on state, but just to let you know, the feds are already asking. I'm like, the feds for weed? And he's like, yeah, they're already asking about you. So, and then about a year later, the feds came. 6 a.m, guns up. My daughter was in bed, all of that, which was just, it was so overkill because my lawyer had already been in contact with them. They knew that we knew they were going to indict me. I would have just gone and self-surrendered if they had said
right.
And instead they wanted to do the 5A. And that was all because I had refused to meet with them. So because I refused to meet with them and talk with them, then they wanted to do the whole raid you at 6 a.m. and put guns up and yell FBI and pull you out and all that. They like.
Were you living where were you living?
In Greenville.
In a apartment or a townhouse?
It was a house. It was renting a house. I was renting a house.
All your neighbors see all the feds out there.
Yeah, well, actually, our neighbor, he saw it all happen, and I went the car windows were open. And he actually went and rolled our windows up and stuff like that when the house got raided. So he was cool. We lived in it wasn't a great area. So getting raided.
The trap house next door.
Yeah.
As long as we stay away from them, we're good. That's where the real drugs are at.
Yeah. It was but they did our house got robbed while we were in jail, though.
So when you went to the feds, how much time did they give you?
5 years. The 5-year minimum.
The 5-year minimum. Mm-hmm. All right.
60 months.
And no guns?
No, they gave me a gun enhancement, but I didn't have any guns where the weed was or anything like that. So they just gave me an enhancement because there was the mention of guns, but
right.
I didn't have. I never carried a gun ever in my life. And the only time I ever have seen a gun related to weed whatsoever was the feds putting the guns
on you.
Guns on me, yeah. So
get out of the house.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy to me. With marijuana, it's such an interesting world right now because there still is what I kind of call the drug dealer mentality of people who sell everything also still sell weed.
Right.
But then there's this whole other culture of people who just sell weed, and it's a very different atmosphere, I would say. It's very much less guns and what people classically view as drug dealer mentality. If you're just a marijuana guy, it's not really like that. Not saying that you don't run into people who do both because of the business that you're in, but you know, the people that I messed with in California were weed only people.
Yeah.
I was a weed only person. You know, people come up to, you know, when they find out that you sell weed, they'll be like, "Oh, I can get you this or that," and I'm just like, I don't do anything.
I don't need that,
because it's just a different. Once you cross over to even like Coke or like anything like that, it just turns into a totally different world and game where things get dangerous, things get messy. And I mean, the biggest thing for me is, you know, I view cannabis as the exit drug to other drugs instead of like the classic gateway theory. So, you know, my ultimate goal in life is to open a cannabis-based opiate rehab and help people get off of other drugs using cannabis as like the cure. So, and I've always felt that way. So it's like, because I used to be addicted to oxys, and weed, you know, is my pathway to getting clean off of those things. So, and I feel like, you know, I've met plenty of other people who feel the same about it. And so I see cannabis just as medicine. I see it as the most medicinally beneficial plant on earth. And it's just so like, and that's the thing about like the feds is they never once ask like, well, why did you sell weed? They don't care about that or any of that. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's how I got there. That's how I ended up in the feds for 60 months.
So talk about what are you doing now with cannabis prisoners and things like that?
So I'm a part of Last Prisoner. I'm a advocate for Last Prisoner Project and a honorary board member of Freedom Grow Forever, both of which are organizations that help cannabis prisoners. Each one of them's a little bit different, but like Freedom Grow Forever more focuses on they have like a wish program which gives like the children of the prisoners like stuff. Christmas presents and things like that. They do put money on books a little bit, but they're more of like an advocacy and help the inmates individually organization. Last Prisoner Project, they have more legal like applying for clemencies and
where do we stand with that? Because I swear, I mean, we were talking about it right before we started. I'm not even talking about the clemencies that Biden did at the end of the term. I feel like I remember Biden saying something in the beginning of his term about letting federal cannabis prisoners go, and then he never did it.
So that happened when I was in prison for weed.
Right.
So when that, you know, flashed across the bottom line of CNN, Fox News, whatever it was.
In the
it's
TV
probably Fox
room.
News because I'm white.
Right. Everybody's in the TV room. Oh shit, we're going home.
Yeah, you guys might appreciate this. When I was at Edgefield, I used to get up in the if I happened to get up in the middle of the night, I'd go in the TV room and switch the white TV room to CNN, not to watch it, just so that in the morning, the guy who was the head of the white TV room would come in and he would just
Who did this?
Yeah, he would just get so mad. Bert,
why are you watching CNN?
Yeah, Bert would get so mad. Who put this shit on TV? So yeah, if you've ever been to federal prison, you know that the that you CNN on the white TV is
it's bad.
Yeah, like that's like the ultimate.
It's like watching BET on the white TV.
Yeah. That would probably be the only thing worse is if you had like BET on one of them and then CNN on the other when they turned the TV on.
But no, I mean I was in prison then too, and I remember people asking me about it.
Yeah,
and then he never did it.
Well, so what he did was he pardoned federal simple possession, which there was zero people in prison for simple possession, which basically means if you get caught smoking on at a federal park or something like that.
An Indian reservation or the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Let me light up a joint at the Smithsonian and go to federal prison.
Yeah. So that's all that did. So I mean, because of, you know, the world that I'm in, like we don't like to any kind of progress is progress. And there are people that had simple possession tickets from doing that who weren't able to get jobs because they had that federal simple possession.
And maybe
But
they got it off.
now that's gone, so it helps them out. So it's not, it's not completely meaningless,
But it's not what she thought it was. Not what they were saying it was going to be.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's a big thing is all of these politicians in general, they love to make these like a lot of people like you, like so many people, even you're very involved in this world, and you still didn't know what really happened with that, because the way it was presented was
it was presented is I was going to let them right. And then what ended up happening was, the clemencies that he did do, it was because he felt bad about 924C and the war on drugs.
Yes,
because people don't realize it, because as we were going in I'm gay and I'm a felon and everything, but I'm a big Trump supporter because I went home 33 months early on First Step. Period. End of story. No president's done anything else for me. Donald Trump got me home early. Back up to President Biden, last year as federal prison tips was rising in popularity enormously, and every now and then I'm doing a Trump post, and I was down at Mar-a-Lago, as the poster boy for First Step Act, I was bringing up the fact that I did a video. I got a lot of flack for it. I was talking to specifically mothers of black inmates who are in prison on a 924C, who are talking about Biden. And this is before Biden dropped out. I'm like, you guys don't realize this, but Biden is the one who wrote 924C with Strom Thurmond. And he didn't just vote for it as a senator. He and Strom Thurmond wrote that shit. And when they wrote it, I have a clip of it on our TikTok from C-SPAN, where he says, if you get caught with a drug and guns, you will go to prison for 5 years. No, do not pass go. The judge can't do anything. And that is what these clemencies were about. They were about reparations for the war on drugs, not weed, as they had initially said in the beginning of the term in, 2016 or whatever it was.
Yeah. It was 20, when he did that, it had to have been 20 maybe? 21.
21, yeah.
Yeah, because that's when I was in RDAP. So like, it's interesting you bring that up, because in the free all cannabis prisoner space, there's that, like what you said, is the fact is Trump let out Corvain Kruper.
Yep.
Trump let out Craig Cecil. Trump let out, like, there was quite a few guys at the end of his first term that were cannabis prisoners that he granted clemency to. And also the First Step Act. People don't understand that the First Step Act, even today, I got a friend who also is in prison for weed, Jimmy. He gets out August 27th. He had a 10-year sentence. He's going to do almost exactly 6.
Yep.
Because of all the credits for the First Step Act and all that. So, when it comes to actual, and even, and the Biden ones, like, I know this, the 25, was it the 2,500 that were all just CARES Act, basically? Was that
like
the
1,600. It was like
1,600, which that's all good, but those are people who were already home.
Yeah.
And it was get jobs and start life over is always a good step. But yeah, I mean, when we went to DC, so I went to DC when during Biden's last year of office.
Right.
We went and did, and our calling card was, "Hey Joe, let him go," out in front of the White House, and we had a candlelight vigil and all that, and we were more playing towards like the, like, empathy, like right the wrongs, like you were talking about.
Yep.
With his record on all of that. And we kept playing like his clip promising to free cannabis prisoners, which he did on the campaign trail. He made that promise on the campaign trail during one of the debates. And he didn't do that. So we were trying to hold him to that. And we were very hopeful when he it was like one of those things where when he did the 1,500 and then the 2,500 clemencies, it was like, okay, like we kept being told, like, they're coming, and then he just didn't. He never did. And then now, do you know Weldon Angelos at all? Have you heard of him?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so he's involved with like Mike Tyson, and like that whole um group of people who are trying to do the same thing, get cannabis prisoners out of prison. Like he's met with Trump's. He was, I think he got released by Biden and then clemency by Biden, pardoned by Trump.
Okay.
So he kind of had both of them. Weldon did, helped him, but he's got a good relationship with Alice Johnson, who's the pardon czar now. And when we went to DC this past year with Trump, for one thing, that's a positive about Trump when it comes to this issue is, you know, he has shown like he's not gonna he doesn't have to wait till year 4 before leaving office to do it. He'll just do it. And it's definitely been a little disappointing that he's chosen to pardon other groups and not cannabis prisoners. But I think that has more to do with like some of his policy team around him is very anti-marijuana. So it's an interesting place we're in, but the our like talking points now are more like going after, like, for one, Biden didn't do it, so you have a chance to be better than Biden on this issue.
And he's going to. If he has a chance to be better than Biden, he's going to.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we're really hoping for. Because I mean it's an issue. You know, 70% of Americans think weed should be legal,
and it's legal in most states.
Yeah, I mean at least medically legal in 40 states, fully adult use in 24. And then the big thing too is like the hemp bill that he signed. That's another thing that people don't realize is the farm bill, the agricultural bill, whatever you want to call it, back in, I think it was 2018 that he signed, opened the door to all the hemp derived products, which are cannabis. And you'll actually find it interesting. I actually have been fighting probation on using hemp derived products because they make you fail a drug test.
Of course they do.
Right. But if when you read your stipulations of probation, it says you cannot possess a federally or state illegal product.
Okay.
It never says anything. It never says you can't fail a drug test.
It just says you can't possess. Gotcha.
Exactly. So I documented my use. I even brought the products in and put them on my probation officer's desk. And I said, if these are illegal, then you need to arrest me and arrest the people that sold them to me. If they're not, you can't hold me responsible for failing a drug test for these products. You can't have it both ways.
And what did the probation officer say?
She didn't. She was like, she's like, I don't know what to do. So I took it all the way to in front of my judge, asking for early termination while the probation was asking for my stipulations to be increased. And the judge basically found a way to cut the baby in half. She didn't increase my stipulations, but she denied my early termination request, but said I can come back in 6 months and ask again. So, which normally they make you wait a year.
Right.
So she kind of found a way, and she said she specified that she was not denying me because of the failed drug tests. But if I did fail another test, that both sides will have to bring in experts and we will like decide it in court. Like she'll hear both sides. Because it was basically, you know, they're so behind the times when it comes to what's going on in that in that world. They're still calling it CBD and THC.
Right.
And the actual law says products that are more than 0.3% Delta 9 THC by dry weight is marijuana. Anything that's not that is hemp, right? Like that's essentially what you have. Well, THCA, which is what is the precursor to Delta 9 THC in the plant matter, is already like high in plant and the Delta 9 percentage is low. So essentially they made the wrong thing illegal.
Right.
And so but when the prosecutor's like, well, he failed, his like test numbers are high in THCA. I'm like, right, but that's not illegal. Like you don't have the ability to test to see how much Delta 9 was in the product that I used. And the drinks are the big thing, because a drink is 12 ounces. So you can have over 100 milligrams of Delta 9 THC in a drink, and it's still under the 0.3 threshold for the law. So that's why you see them at stores and everything, gas stations and all that, and they make you fail a drug test. But essentially, the drug test is invalid.
Yeah.
The drug test is invalid if you can prove that you are using those products and that the products are third-party tested and are what they say they are. So I always made sure I use third-party tested products that have like the labels that you can scan and all that. So I had all this proof and everything. It's been an interesting fight.
How much longer do you have on probation?
I got out. I technically started probation in February of 2023, and I had 4 years.
Okay.
So if I get out in December, which will be 6 months since June, so that'll be like 2 years.
Let us do it next time. We haven't lost one in about 100. Well, we just had our 200th early term granted today.
So it's weird that she even had a hearing over that, like an in-person hearing over early termination.
Yeah, that is very weird. Like literally, I literally just posted our 200th early term on TikTok.
Oh, that's awesome!
An hour ago.
Oh, that's awesome! That's awesome! Yeah, that's a big deal. Getting off of paper is, people don't realize. People, people just kind of look at it as like you're in jail or you're not in jail, but all those steps are.
There's people
huge.
that will tell you, and for me, like I went home, and I went home on Valentine's Day of 22, and I was back in on August 6th of 22, and I killed my paper on my violation, which is the best thing I've ever done, because it's like paper's tough. Paper's harder because you got all this temptation, you got all this stuff you want to do, and it might be a conversation for another day, but then you go into the psyche and the mentality of most probation officers. They're not here with the likes of us intellectually. They just are by the book, and it's this and that and the other thing. Like, the arguments that you're having is the same thing as me. So for me, like, this is my relationship with my probation officer went like this. I have this rider because I had, a multi-million-dollar fraud, and I'm not on probation, but I had a multi-million-dollar fraud. So I had this thing that I couldn't get into any credit situation without my probation officer's permission. So, I get out, I have my 72 hours, whatever. I go to my probation meeting. The second thing I want to do after my probation meeting is go to Verizon and get out of this fucking straight talk phone and go back to a regular postpaid cell phone like all of America. I know I can go back to Verizon. I've been with Verizon for 20 years before I went to prison. I go to Verizon, blah, 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 get the phone and everything. 9 minutes after I got my phone put back on, changed my number, everything, sent an email to my probation officer. She called, she said, did you do something with credit? Yeah, I got a cell phone. I said, you didn't get my permission. Dude, it was a cell phone. Everybody's got a cell phone. I got a client, a friend of mine who ended up with a piece of shit car when he got out, and he's made good money. All his restitution payments are paid. He's paid ahead on his restitution. Has had no credit, nothing. Went and got a car, not anything like some kind of old jacked up Honda, and almost got violated because, how am I supposed to get around? Well, you didn't say, well, I needed a car, duh. Anyway, so people, they don't understand how restrictive it is when you're on probation, and how, like, if you get the wrong probation officer, and a lot of them are the wrong probation officer, they want to put their fingers into you. It's a control thing. It's just the mentality of the people. It's the same thing like the BOP. One of the things when I do these lives and stuff, like most people didn't raise their hand in kindergarten and said, ma'am, I want to be a prison guard.
Yeah.
When you end up at the prison, when you end up working for the BOP, things did not work out right in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so those people, they have an axe to grind and a chip on their shoulder with everyone. So you get somebody that's somewhat affluent that comes in, fuck all that.
I will. My probation officer she has been very she told me like so I wrote this letter to the judge that had case law, that had like everything about the argument that I'm making, using the actual law, case law, all of those things. And she's like, yeah, when you gave me that letter, I gave it to my superiors, and I was like, you need to look into this. He has a lot of points, and they're basically just like, oh, well, our policy is if you fail a it's just all about like policy. Like they're just like, oh, our policy is this. It's like, yeah, well, your policy doesn't
wrong.
Follow the law.
Exactly.
And I went to prison. See, that was my big thing while I was in prison, because the First Step Act too, I was supposed to get out in September of 22 with a year off, like no halfway outs, nothing. I should have had a year off my sentence for the First Step Act. They didn't let me out. And I'm writing BP8s, BP9s. My counselor's kicking the BP9 out from under the door. The warden, the assistant warden, everyone agrees that I was right, that my calculations right, everything I was doing was right, and they're refusing to let me out. And I'm just like, what? Like, the First Step Act is a law.
It's a law.
It's a law.
It's not BOP policy.
Yeah, exactly. The First Step Act is a law. The hemp stuff is a law, and I broke the marijuana trafficking law. I went to prison. I was held accountable for me breaking the law, but you guys seem to be able to just, if you don't like the law, because that's really what it came down to.
If you don't like the law, you can change it.
Yeah, the BOP with the First Step Act, they're like, especially the council, and I realized what it is because the counselors and all them, it's more work for them.
So I'll tell you a great story. It's March 20th, 2020. I'm in the atrium at the federal prison camp in Montgomery in the Mobile unit. Bill Barr has had a press conference. A memo has come out. They are sending low-risk offenders home. Our case manager, Demetrius Sanders, said, ain't nobody going home from this camp. We had a population of 1,240 that day. When I left on a phone shot, the population was 330. All 800 people went home on CARES Act. Nope, that was the law. That was what came down in the law. And these people, these probation officers, these BOP workers, for some reason they think they can be above the law. If I can't be above the law and you can't be above the law, they shouldn't be either. And times are changing. I don't know if you're seeing any of the stuff that's going on now, but they have a new director and a new deputy director, and they are actually going to prison without telling them they're coming.
Oh, nice!
And it is the most
beautiful,
glorious thing I have ever.
Were you
heard.
Ever at a prison when they had the people
when ACA was coming and you're painting the walls, you're getting rid of black mold by painting over it.
Yeah. And they only allow like certain inmates to interact.
People,
they keep everyone else like away. Like they don't want the truth to come out. So I spent 11 months in the SHU during COVID. And I don't know if he told you, I wrote a novel. It's called Legalized. It's like a 600-page novel. And I wrote it while I was in the SHU. But while we were in the SHU, they came like to the prison because we had tried to go on like a hunger strike because of the whole situation, like getting fed bologna sandwiches 3 times a day for months and months and months. And it was terrible. And man, when they brought the regional there, like they literally like just tried to hide everybody that they knew were going to say something. You know what I'm saying? Like they only let the dudes who were just, I don't know how to say, like, I don't know, the guys who they act like they're on their side or something. Like there's some inmates who act like they're
cops.
Yeah. So they'd let them talk. Like, oh yeah, everything's fine. They're doing the best that they can. It's like, no, they're not. But that was I'm glad that they're doing some surprise visits now because maybe they'll find out what's really going on in prison for sure.
I got a shot for insubordination. They had an ACA audit at Forest City, and ACA. I was working in education, and the ACA guy asked me what my job was, and I told him it was to falsify government records. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I sit here, I take roll for inmates that haven't been to class in 5 weeks. What do you mean they haven't been up? If I keep talking, I'm going to get a shot. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I promise you that.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The prison classes. Classes.
At Montgomery, it was better because I smoke, right? And at Montgomery for ACE classes, all you had to do was pay me a cigarette. I put your name on the fucking sheet.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, I'd have 2 packs of cigarettes, ready to go.
Ready to go. My old celly was he taught the auto VT class, which that one's hilarious because it's like I guess they guarantee you a job at Midas when you get out if you finish the auto VT program.
Right.
But the program, like the computer program, was written in like 1996. So everything about the cars and everything, and this was in 2019 that I took the class, is about cars from 1996 and earlier. And it's like, okay,
welcome to the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing too. Is like, there's 40 people enrolled in the class, and there's like three of us show up and like take a nap. And my celly he got like, I think he got a book of stamps a week per guy for
passing the
saying
class.
That they were there. Yeah, for passing the class.
All right, Jeremy, where can more people help you out with the projects for the prisoners in cannabis?
So definitely follow Last Prisoner Project and Freedom Grow Forever, Jailed for Weed. Some of my people, Dante West, Kyle Page, Deshaun Durham, Corvain Cooper, Luke Scarmazzo. These are all ex-cannabis.
Luke Scarmazzo, I'm friends with him on something.
Okay, yeah, Luke. So Luke, he's got a podcast. He did a podcast with Burner recently that had like a
Burner 420.
Yeah, had a ton of views. He was a legal. He opened up the first legal medical marijuana shop in Modesto County, California, in 2006. And they got mad. They got big mad about it, and he got 20 years, I think, in the
He's
feds.
home now, though.
Yeah, he got out. I think he got out like clemency for like maybe medical reasons or something. I don't know. But he got out a little early. But Luke's cool. Randy Lanier. He had a Netflix special. He had gotten life for weed back in the 80s or the 90s. But he had raced in the Indy 500 the year before he got arrested.
Oh wow!
So he was like a big car racer. Andy Cox was serving life for 100 clones. So just like weed plants that were that tall. Life.
Damn.
Life. They just got him early termination of his like he had 10 years or something like that of supervision, and I think he just got released from that. Yeah, there's a ton of us, and it's definitely something that being in prison for it. When you get out, there's like a kind of a community of us that are all together trying to help get the other guys home, because it is crazy to be sitting in prison. Like, for instance, in New Jersey, I was at Fort Dix when weed was legalized in New Jersey, and on the local news, they're showing the pictures of the plants and the dispensary and themselves. And I'm just like, damn. Because more, they sell in a dispensary a day more weed than most of us are in prison for.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And and now, like, the one that got raided in California for the ICE situation, the guy who owns that is an ex-cop.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's an ex-cop. So to have cops who sent people to prison for weed now making millions of dollars off of weed, there's something wrong with the system. That's just not okay with me. And anyway, so that because that's a big thing too now with legalization is a lot of places are legalizing, but then putting a restriction on if you have any kind of felony in the past, you can't be involved in the business. And it's like, weed wouldn't be made legal if we weren't all saying, like, you know, if that's what I try to explain to people all the time is like, you know, if the people in the 70s and 80s when they made weed such a big deal had just accepted it and been like, oh, it's a big deal, and no one did anything, people wouldn't know the benefits of it today.
Correct.
It took people being like, no, you're wrong, and continuing to provide cannabis to adults and people who wanted it and needed it. And that's why in California it got to the position it did, was because of the medical, like people, you know, there was AIDS patients, cancer patients, and there was, you know, just some like really good people who were providing cannabis to these people. They sent those people to prison, and it created like an uproar of people like, no, these are good people. You need to, you know, and that's what allowed for medical marijuana to happen and all that. So it's, you know, it's a long path, but we have to get the people out of prison who are in prison for marijuana if we're going to be making billions of dollars in taxes on it. It's just not fair.
That's exactly right.
It's just not. It's just like there's nothing. And that's the thing about it is it's in like with Trump, it's like it's an easy win that you're not going to have, because even the people who would say, well, I'm against it, it's not their number one issue.
No,
they're just the kind of people that are like, anything related to drugs is bad, whatever, right? But they're not actively like anti-marijuana like that. And for the most part, most people agree that adults should be able to use cannabis and that people shouldn't be serving life in prison for a plant. Especially when you look at sex offenders go home, murderers go home, wife beaters go home. Like, you know, a lot of people go home, and to have people still serving life for a plant is just, I mean, for me, it's one of the most like glaring injustices that I feel like a mass majority of Americans can be like, okay, yeah, we should probably let those people home. So
we should.
That's you know, that's getting to speak in front of the White House was awesome this past year. But yeah, just follow what we're doing. Definitely buy my book, Legalized, available on Amazon and on jeremygroverights.com.
Where can they follow you on social?
Jerry David 789 is my Instagram.
Okay.
So yeah, just follow that.
We'll link it in the bio for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that's my story. That's what I
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, that was one with Jason, one with Kyle. We'll be back together next week for another episode of 10toespodcast.com.